Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This is the 90 Degree Show brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. I'm your official Marching Podcast announcer, David Thompson, and here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
All right, good evening and welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I am your host, Joe Beard, and happy to be of service for you tonight. Today is September 22nd, 2013, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It's football season, and it's time for the bands. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship funds. Tonight, we want to start our new format for the 90 Degree Show. We are listening to some feedback, and you have to excuse me, I'm getting over a cold from this week. We're listening to some feedback from some of the battles and some of the previous shows that we've had. And we talk about our featured matchup, but we don't always get to the other matchups enough time for analysis. I kind of squeeze the matchups in between the discussions and not in a definite part of the show, so it's its own segment. So I ask my experts about battles, and sometimes they haven't seen it, and sometimes they haven't. Or sometimes they have, and sometimes they haven't. And, sometimes, I just don't want to put anybody out there where, they're not prepared to talk about things. So what I will do with that is that I will give my analysis on the first segment of the show in regards to the matchups that were intriguing to me throughout the week. We'll hear from our sponsors, and then we'll bring in our other experts to discuss the battles from the week that they got to check out. More than likely our featured battle. And we'll hear from our sponsors one last time. And in our last segment, we'll give more time for you, the listener, to call in and speak your mind about the battles that you saw or maybe something that you said. We will give our parting shots to our experts, and in the end, I'll close out the show. So that will be the 90 Degree Show from here on out. To all the listeners out there, you are free to call in at any time and at any segment, and that's at the number you see there on your screen, 718-664-6025. This is the 90 Degree Show brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. I'll go ahead and get into the show because we've spent some time introducing the new format. Now, I know that Rashad Watters, he had a previous engagement tonight, and he may be on the show tonight. He may not be able to make it in time. If he is or if he isn't, we will definitely get that Prunalysis from him either or. You can go and check out what he wrote for Mr. Prune Juice Man himself there on the fifth quarter, and that is the THE5THquarter.com, and you can type that in and log in and get your membership, and you can see the Prunalysis. He has a Prunalysis about everything, and we're excited about kicking that off this year. So if he's able to call in, we'll love to hear from him. Let's go ahead and hear from our sponsors. Well, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and we'll do this also in the first segment. I want to announce our Week 3 featured matchup winner between Jackson State and Tennessee State. The Southern Heritage Classic was our featured matchup last week, and you go to the website, themarchingpodcast.com, to vote. Let's go ahead and check out the results from that before we hear from our sponsors. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's add a little suspense to it. Let's go ahead and hear from some of our sponsors. It's also going to change in the format of the show as well, the number of sponsors that we hear. We usually play all the sponsors twice. We're going to change that up for timing purposes, and as the show gets more popular, we want more people to talk and have more content. So we'll hear twice of the sponsors during the Chopping It Up show, but on the 90 Degree show, we'll hear from our sponsors a couple of times. So we have a couple of sponsors for this first break, since I've talked for the majority of the time introducing how the new format is going to be. Let's hear from them, and then when we come back, we'll have that drum roll going and a little suspense going about who won our featured matchup. So let's go ahead and take our first sponsor now.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. And coming this fall, HBCUbands.com. Write that down, HBCUbands.com. Attention high school directors and alumni. Does your band need to raise money to travel, buy instruments, or uniforms? Are you looking to raise money to help your band? Well, Big Deal Fundraising is rapidly becoming one of the largest distributors of fundraising products in the industry. Big Deal is based in New York City and ships anywhere in the United States, offering quality products, fast delivery, and innovative consultation that will help you meet your fundraising goals. Call today at 855-244-4430 or visit us at BigDealFundraisingUSA.com. Big Deal Fundraising, your fundraising partner for your band or music ensemble.
All right, we're back, and we'll go ahead and read the results from our Week 3 matchup, the Southern Heritage Classic, with 68% of the vote. 68% of the vote. And I will go ahead and get this rolling here for everyone. That is correct, with 68% of the vote, beating out 32% of the vote. Tennessee State won this battle, as you, the people, have voted on the Marching Podcast Network here at the marchingpodcast.com. So sorry for the suspense, but, I was surprised myself. I was just like, wow, they killing them out here. And again, hey, this is the people's choice, whether you felt that Jackson State won on the field or whether you felt that they won in the stands. You can vote twice and vote, either or. But out of everyone that saw and everyone that voted, we put it out there, 68% of the vote, Tennessee State. So we have to give Tennessee State their props for winning this week. That's right. Way to go, Tennessee State, beating out the Sonic Boom of the South and the People's Choice Awards. You guys make sure you vote at themarchingpodcast.com. We'll always put the featured matchup of the week out there, and we will make sure that you, the people, are heard when we will announce the winner of each featured matchup here on the 90 Degree Show. All right, great, and outstanding. Now, moving on, we will go ahead and, like I said, we haven't heard from Rashad, but I will go ahead and get into my analysis. We'll hear from some of our panelists later, I believe. But I want to go ahead and get into the featured matchups that we picked out, or we wanted to highlight. Again, you're free to call in whenever you want at the number you see there on your screen, 718-664-6025. This is the 90 Degree Show, brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our sponsors to help us improve the show and build our scholarship fund and broadcast during these peak hours. So this is week 4. The matchups that jumped out for me were Elizabeth City against Albany State, Elizabeth City versus Albany State, and Livingstone versus Edward Waters. And I wanted to throw in Talladega College because they were making some noise, making some waves over the internet just like they were last year. I was excited to hear about them. And we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and get into what I saw. First, I'll get into Elizabeth City. Again, you're free to call in at any time, and I'll give you the air. I was really excited to see Elizabeth City again this year. Based on what we saw from them last year and their last year performances, they were really good. But this year, you can tell they lost some people. Just from what I've seen, the power and the confidence was not the same as last year. and it's just not what I was expecting to see from them this year. I really want to see some of these sleeper bands and some of these schools that are much smaller, if they're able to repeat and keep going and build on something. Most noticeable by the song they played by the Temptations. I think it's called Power. I believe that's the name of the song, and I really hate to start singing on here like I was last year. Just so I want to get it. Someone knows out there know. I think that's Power. And it's kind of like my favorite Elizabeth City song that they play. But this year, the swag is not the same from what I hear when I hear that song. I give the directors credit because the upper brass has a presence because of the arrangements. And I like how they're able to represent, when they're able to, but it's not that dog sound. It's not the same ferociousness as I saw last year. Definitely a decent middle brass, and the tubas are cranking. They definitely understand their sound, and they do not overblow or play outside of themselves. I like the director. I believe, like I say, it's a husband and wife duo, and I believe in their system. I believe in what they're doing. But you could just tell that they just don't have the same personnel as last year, and it's just my opinion. But they're still a good band, and it's still early. They could come out cranking in a couple weeks, totally blow what I said away. So still not a band to fall asleep on, and it's early in the season. I saw their halftime show from September 7th, and the drill, it was really slow. It was really slow. I think it needed to go a little bit faster. They sound good during the show, and they do not lose any sound. They march well, but, considering all of those things, because of the tempo was really, really slow. Like, for a drill, it should be, pushing the tempo a little bit just so you marching out there and you're making your patterns of motion. They definitely were going a lot slower, which is a lot easier to keep your sound and a lot easier to march. So definitely I think they should pick that tempo up a little bit. They played Love and War, which, seems to be like the song of the year for bands. And, it's funny enough, but, I don't hear it that much on the radio. Granted, I don't listen to the radio extremely a lot, but from what I see, I believe that it's much more on the radio down south more than it is out here. If I'm wrong, someone let me know. And I know it's on the radio. I'm just wondering how much more. But a lot of bands are playing it, and they play it. It sounds pretty good. And I don't want to say it sounds pretty good, not to express it from it, but, I like the way they sound. Definitely it's a full, complete sound. Like I said earlier, they understand their sound. The dance routine, from what I saw in the halftime show, it wasn't too much. They kind of like ran around in a circle, ran around like in a cluster together. They went wild for a little while, and then they came off and got back in the block band, and then like marched off. Then they played a little bit more. So it wasn't too much of a show. And again, it's early, so people are not like putting too much into those first shows. And I'm not sure what band or what team they were playing on September 7th. Maybe a team without a band or whatever. But not the strongest halftime show that I saw. But again, like I said, it's early. And I just noticed from that first performance the lack of energy in that band. I think that they're a good band, but they have, even in their drill and even how they march and even their shows, they have a big band feel. They definitely walk with a big band mentality, but definitely I think they need to watch out for falling into that big band laziness too, because that's what happens. Big bands are great and big bands are smashing to the eye, but you got a lot of people who lay in the cut too, and that's something you want to eliminate. Where smaller bands don't have that, seems like they're pushing the line a little bit with it. So they need to show up every week, and I know that they're capable of doing that. So that's what I feel about Elizabeth City. They were matched up against Albany State. This battle did not happen. I don't think I put this out on the fifth quarter, and someone responded to say that Elizabeth City doesn't make that trip anymore. But I was excited to see Alabama. I'm sorry, I always do that. I'm sorry, Albany State. I have to hammer that out. I was excited to see Albany State this year because last year, they didn't disappoint me. And this year, they didn't disappoint me again. I really love this band and what they're doing. They're a really good blend of everything, sound and instrumentation, and they may be as powerful and as loud as last year, maybe a tad bit more. I really like their representation this year. They do not have a killer swag sound, but they have a clean, powerful sound. And their sound, has flashes of brilliance. Other times, there's uncertainty there. And, I attribute that to maybe some maturity, maybe some confidence, maybe resources, maybe just the young, the youth and the maturity of where they are in the program right now. I love their tubas, but missing some middle brass sometimes, but love them playing vice versa. I listen to them in the stands playing that vice versa, and I really like that song because I think it's a really good judge to see like where that band is as far as the power. But they're really, really clean, a really, really loud, clean sound, which I really, really like. I saw them playing a song called Hello, and it was a great sound as well. They're coming with it. They have a punch. They play well together, and they're a good size. They're a good quality size. I watched their halftime show on the 7th of this month, and I like their drill. They drill in squads, similar to what Jackson State does, and they keep a good volume while they march. They also did the half where half of the band, and I've seen that a couple times this year, but like half of the band keeps moving in with the drill or keeps moving in with formations, and they're playing, but then the other half of the band is standing still so they can crank while, the other band's playing, but, they're providing some good sound for the crowd to listen to. And I like that. I like seeing that type of thing on the field. Good energy on the field, and definitely as advertised as last year. It makes me excited about this year and excited about that Miles matchup, which I really love to see this year in 2013. If I had to give the edge to someone, I'm going to give it to Albany State. They seem to have more energy on the field from what I saw, and maybe more pound for pound powerful sound. Elizabeth City is not far behind now, but the lack of energy that I saw, and not as difficult a halftime show as what I saw Albany do, hurts them overall in the tape that I've seen. In the stands, I think Albany is a tad bit better. I think that their book is a little bit better from what I've seen, and what I've seen a couple of songs that they played this year. But like I said, they're not that far behind. And I think that, like I said, Albany State just has more of a complete sound, and it's louder. I think that they're louder. They're just flat out louder than Elizabeth City. I would like to see the tape, more tape of them, because I'm sure that Elizabeth City would show up because of the competition across the field. Like, I'm sure that it would wake them up where, it would put out a much better performance that I saw on the tape. But right now, there's a slim edge. I would have to, give it to Albany State. Now, in our next matchup here, we have Livingstone and we have Edward Waters. Another battle that did not happen. I'm not sure if the actual football teams play, and I think they do, but it's the bands that we're talking about, of course. Livingstone, I saw against Smith. My crowd brother Troy, I'm not sure if he's going to be on tonight, but definitely knows about Livingstone. He's one of his favorites, and definitely him and I agree with that one. And they are good from the first note, from the top of the halftime show. From what I saw them play against Smith. It's out on the internet, their halftime show, and the fifth quarter. Similar to Smith with the drill, I like the mix because it fits their smaller size. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about the drill. Their drill, it doesn't seem that they're just doing the company fronts. I'm sorry, not the company fronts, but the squads, but they're doing a little mix of a heel toe, something that fits their smaller size, and I really like that. Smith did it, and I talked about it in previous shows, but I really like what they're doing, and I really like Livingstone on the field. Not as much high brass on some points. They should shine. I don't feel like they do, but I heard some of them more in the stands. You know, there's definitely some screamers up there, and they sound good. Just not the Trump funk type nastiness that I'm used to, but still very, very good. But on the field, they keep, you know, that stereo complete sound, you know, for their show, and I like what they're doing. The horns and B-tones are cranking, and the tubas are on point. You got to give it to them. And they have some good songs, and they're playing some really super, super low stuff that I like hearing from the tubas. And I think there's some great arranging going on, great coaching. You know, great band director over there, you know, great leadership, you can tell. And just from the complete sound that they have, they really got a lot of good mentors going over there. Good energy on their dance routine and good energy in the stands. You know, I like Livingstone again this year. One thing about them that's just off the chain is that they play this version of Neck that might be like my favorite right now. And it's a mix. It's like a melody. You definitely check it out. I have it on themarchingpodcast.com. I've updated some of the videos there that you can see about some of the matchups that we had this week. But they play this Dr. Dre style West Coast like crib walking mix with, you know, the HBCU. I mean, it's dope. I mean, they start off with like this. Oh man, I can't even go into it. So I'm so excited. But it's a mix of a lot of Dre, Dr. Dre, old school '90s bass lines, and that's what I like because, of course, I'm a kid from the '90s. I, you know, became a man in the '90s. You know. And it was the bomb. It's the bomb. If you go out there, you check out Livingstone. I think it's like round 4 of the battle between Livingstone and Johnson C. Smith. They are cranking that Dr. Dre style. It's a little bit of Dre Day up in there and a little bit of some Dog Pound. What would you do if you could put with me or my crew? You know, that bass line, it's raw. I mean, I was surprised. It's just like, who was over there writing that? It definitely got me excited. You know, I'm super excited over the show. Looks like I think we got somebody a call in. I think this may be Rashad. I'll go ahead and put my analysis here on hold because I know Rashad is busy tonight. Rashad, is that you?
It is I.
What's going on, Rashad? How you doing tonight, man?
Real good, man. I'm over here at the Adrian Carroll Battle of the Bands, where we just had 12 high school bands from the area perform, and also followed by Elizabeth City State, North Carolina A&T, and North Carolina Central University.
Wow, that's outstanding.
North Carolina Central just got finished performing.
That's outstanding, man. I just finished talking about Elizabeth City and the matchup. They didn't play and they didn't go against Albany State, but I was just talking about that. I know you want to get the Prunalysis in there, and I already got the listeners ready for you, man. You go ahead and take over the floor, man, and talk about it, man.
All right, so I'm starting with last week, basically?
Yeah, go ahead. Your floor is yours.
Okay, well, that's cool, man, because A&T actually did the same show this week as they did last week. So I'm going to cover last week and then talk about the differences that they made. And then I'll give a little something for Elizabeth City and North Carolina Central. It won't be necessarily Prunalysis, just a little conversation on it. All right, so first thing I want to tell you guys about North Carolina A&T is, at the game last week, of course, they were performing by themselves. And, was walking up to the stadium. We probably had to park, nearly a mile away. And then halfway there, we had to turn around and left something in the car. I said, man, because if we didn't have this something, then we wouldn't be able to get in. You know what I'm saying? But while we were walking away, man, we heard A&T crank up first, You Don't Want to Go to War, and All I Do, Stevie Wonder. Wow. I mean, it was just as clear as day from a mile away. And that was just, it was just awesome to hear that. It makes you really proud of Show Style Band to be able to hear, that type of thing and not just hear the drums from far away. I don't know if you guys can hear Elizabeth City cranking up in the background. They're a good distance away from me. Their drum line's doing a little something over there. But anyway, trumpet sounded really good on that. Low brass sounded great on that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to halftime. So when they started out the show, you could definitely tell pretty much through and through this was A&T's first time doing this particular show. They did a completely different show against Appalachian State the week before. So it was a lot of new stuff in it. The Aggie lean, was decent. I've commented on the Prunalysis that we needed a little bit more leaning in the Aggie lean, And of course, the drill song was, of course, one of the required two songs that the bands are all required to play this year. Is going to be either Fine China or Treasure, and of course, it was Fine China. Every band tonight, every hot college band played Fine China as their drill.
Right.
It's just required.
Right. Yeah.
But there was a couple of problems with just everybody with the tuba section being on lock. The tuba section is split up across the back of the band. So the tuba section is split up across the back of the band, and so there was definitely some phasing problems between the two halves as they're trying to go through those difficult parts of Fine China. Let's see. The band was pretty strong, but there wasn't a whole lot of energy in the marching. But it was a very strong sound from A&T. I mean, we've come to expect that from A&T. As the announcer always said, nobody blows like the Aggies, and there was a ton of sound coming out of those bells there. When they got to the slow song, When I Was Your Man, Bruno Mars, I mentioned that I was ashamed that I had never heard the original song before because it's a quite beautiful song. I found out later, beautiful song Bruno put out there. They played it with a lot of quiet control. It worked really well for the delivery of the song. That part in the mellophones and probably flugelhorns and saxophones was really, really gorgeous. I thought it was a really good choice. The only issue, though, was that it wasn't really a climax to the song. So after the introduction to the song, it kind of sorry, guys, I'm kind of distracted here. I will fill you in on what I'm seeing here later. I'll try not to be distracted. Try not to get beat up either, I'm telling you. Like an Aggie Bulldog, though. Anyway, so the Dance Girl song. I don't know, what's the name of the song you said? I'm Tired of You? Yeah, I think it's by Pink, I'm Tired of You or something like that. The marching to this song, to the transition of this song, was a whole lot better than the marching during the drill. The trumpets were really clean. Mellophones had quite a few misses here and there in that. Hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you, brother. How you doing, man? All right. Hey, let's see here. Mellophones had quite a few misses in that. The dancer team, it was interesting as the band was marching to the dancer team. They started to break into Holy Grail, and, Holy Grail, Justin Timberlake sings like the beginning of that song for 2 minutes, before, there's any rapping going on there. So that's what they did. And now it was like, it's party time! And then they just kept playing the slow part. So that didn't really work out too well. But, the dancer team was pretty decent. It was, like I said, it was just so long before they actually started partying. They broke into, because they kept going with the Holy Grail. The tuba section was split with some of them playing the tuba part, the bass line part, and some of them playing the Nirvana part, which I thought was kind of pretty creative there. Just some tone quality, a lot of tone quality issues coming out of the tuba section. So really, that is really the Achilles heel of the band as far as their sound is concerned. There's a lot of power coming from the tuba section, but it doesn't sound like the rest of the band. It's a lot of, it's just not really focused. They broke into Crooked Smile, which sounded good. Good choice for a song. And Feds Watching. Once again, the tubas were immensely powerful. They finished the show with a blowdown, and the tubas came in at the end of that and took it and just threw it down. Now, real quick, all of that said, tonight, everything that I talked about just now, it seemed like A&T fixed it. I mean, it was great. I really don't know about the marching tonight because it was so loud. It may have been because I had a better seat. Last time I was sitting on the end of the band. This time I was sitting basically right on the 50-yard line, and it was just so immensely powerful. I mean, the whole audience was just going crazy. A&T just came down here and just stole the audience. I'm telling you, it was so powerful, man.
That's outstanding. Let's go ahead and hear from what happened tonight. I'm going to put you on pause. I want to play a quick sponsor break. We'll go ahead and hear from the sponsors for the next segment, and then I'll go ahead and let you take over about what happened tonight from what you saw. All right, so we'll give the Prunalysis here. We'll go to halftime, and we'll hear from our sponsors.
Block Band is a minority-owned music business that you can think of as your assistant band director. We help grow your musicians with a great selection of traditional concert band music. Then we back up their performance with necessities like reeds, oil, drum heads, drumsticks, and mallets. Finally, we outfit your players and auxiliary in shoes, spats, and gloves that match our precise custom drills. Got band? If so, then Block Band's got you. Check blockbandmusic.com or call us at 919-698-2560. That's blockbandmusic.com, 919-698-2560. Having an anniversary party, birthday party, or better yet, you're about to marry that special someone? Liquid Effects Photography is the perfect choice to immortalize all your most special moments. With 10 years of dependable professional service that can deliver from the conventional to the best in cutting-edge technology and creativity. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography. We serve the entire upper Midwest and will travel further upon request. Come check us out at liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Or call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556.
All right, we're back. At this next segment, we'll see if we get the Prune Juice Man back on the line. Are you still there, Rashad?
Hello. Hey.
Hello.
This is Thomas Jones, Chief Arranger and Drill Writer with North Carolina A&T. Just let him say real quick, something real quick. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Go ahead and express yourself, man.
He just want to make sure he doesn't get left. All right, man. Take care of yourself, buddy. All right, sorry about that. He was just walking right past me, so let him say hello real quick. Hello?
Okay, well, go ahead and finish with the second half of the Prunalysis here.
Okay. So tonight, man, like I said, everything was just so much better. When we talked about the slow song, the Bruno Mars, and the fact that there was no climax. There was a climax this time, boy. I mean, then right in the middle of this song, they just blew it, and then they brought it back down again, and it made all the difference in the world. And then all the things that I talked about with the mellophones and them missing a lot of those hits, perfect. Mellophones were right on for all those type of things. But I'm like hanging on the edge of my seat. Hey, mellophone, don't miss it. Oh, you got it. So, yeah, it was great. Dancer team was really hyped. The arranger, what's his name? The announcer did not say it's party time. He let the band just do their thing, and then hit them with it when it was time. And the band was extremely powerful during the dancer team. So I was just very, very proud of A&T. I was also proud of Elizabeth City. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask what your overall assessment was of A&T, but go ahead with your second point.
Oh, I was going to move on to Elizabeth City. So anything you want to ask me about A&T, you can go ahead.
Okay, so what do you think was your overall assessment of what you thought of A&T?
I wouldn't have wanted to follow them today. I would not have wanted to follow them today. I mean, they left the stadium ringing. It was really a great show. Still in the marching and stuff like that, it's not perfect yet. I still think they would have a hard time right now standing out in the SWAC. Because so many of the SWAC bands focus on that same level of power, But here in the MEAC, man, I mean, they're doing great,
Well, that's all right, man. So what do you think about Elizabeth City? Because I just finished talking about that myself. So what do you think about Elizabeth City?
Okay, this was my first time seeing them. And I was really excited, man. Their tuba section is amazing. I was standing behind the band, dude. Joe, I was behind the band, actually behind the bleachers. And I was walking back. I was over here doing some networking, talking to some band directors. And then tubas hit up something. I was like, whoa, what the? It was so powerful, man. And they were playing that Fine China. They were just they were on top of that thing, man. So I was just extremely proud of how they Elizabeth City has got a really good sound. I mean, obviously, it's not as big as A&T's, but of course they went first, so that was no problem. You know, but they just really sounded really, really good. I was quite impressed with that sound, and I think they're going to continue to get better.
Well, that's great. That's great. So what was your, I guess you said you're going to continue to get better. What do you think, I guess, their overall assessment, I guess, do you think of Elizabeth City? Do you think that they're, like, taking out people? Or, I mean, like, what do you think about, I guess, they're bad as far as their schedule or who's looking out for them this year?
You know what? I wish I was in front of my computer that I could pull up their schedule this year. But I know that they probably will take out some people this year. They're a really, really tight band.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure. Can't remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I said about them was, you know, I was really excited to them, but I saw them last year. I think you said this was your first time seeing them. I noticed, I guess that last year I can tell that maybe they lost some people. Maybe like that same swag isn't there, but definitely, you know, their tubas and middle brass were off the chain, and they understand their sound. They sound, you know, they're not overblowing. They're playing within themselves really, really well. Did you think the same thing?
Yeah. Definitely. They maintain a lot of control, a lot of balance. There's not a lot of sticking out. Well, there is some sticking out, but, you know, it's fine. It's an allowable amount of sticking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's early. Well, man, we really appreciate. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, this is, if you can hear me, if you didn't believe I was at a drumline competition before, a band competition before.
I heard something.
Kingston High School marching past me right now, and Warren County standing over there, and then I think that's Southern High School that's just getting started up here in Durham. North Carolina Central was the third band to perform, and they're actually playing right now, playing Poison. And I don't know what happened to them, man. The numbers are so small. I just don't know what happened.
Yeah, like, man, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to talk about, I think they played St. Aug this year, and I looked at the tape, and I was so surprised at the tape, I didn't even, like, want to even bring Central up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought the exact same thing you did. Like, whoa, like, what happened to them? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like it's been like that for the MEAC this year. You know, Norfolk is smaller, Central is smaller. You know, Hampton has been smaller for a couple of years now. I guess they were the first to get the virus. I think A&T is a little smaller than they were last year, but you can't really tell. So, preferably, you know, the MEAC will get blessed again and get everything, all our numbers back again, so we can continue to be as competitive as we have been in the recent years.
What do you think that what do you think about North Carolina Central so far from what you've seen? Other than the small size.
Well, I think one thing. Oh my, hold up! This is not going to happen, is it? No way! Oh God, Joe, please don't tell me this is happening. Okay. Hillside. Okay. I thought Hillside High School was about to strike up against North Carolina Central. Yeah, look, Hillside High School band just started running across the field real quick and not right in front of Central, but they turned around. They're actually facing Pine Forest High School. Yeah. But one thing that happens when you have North Carolina Central and A&T have a drastically different sound, or should. But the problem happens when you play a band like A&T and their sound concept is to bring it. What ends up happening is your sound concept is to keep everything under control. You tend to start playing out of control. You know what I'm saying? You're that trombone player. It's like, man, I'm getting blown on right here. I need to do something about that. So I'm going to play louder. And what ends up happening is that you end up sticking out and making the whole band sound softer, actually. And I think that may have been what happened. I noticed today it didn't seem that same type of really nice, pretty blended sound that North Carolina Central normally has. And I think just A&T just bringing it like that had a lot to do with that. So they just got to stick to their guns, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't seen the tape of them other than, like, you know, just the smaller numbers, but I haven't done the analysis of Central. But, you know, I definitely appreciate that, man. We're getting to the end of the Prunalysis segment, man. I wanted you to do your last parting shots because I didn't know that you were there. Was somebody playing Vice Versa or something like that? No, that ain't Vice Versa, was it?
They just didn't finish playing, just got paid. That was
okay. I thought it was vice versa, but yeah, man. Is there anything you want to say? Your parting shots to end out the Prunalysis tonight?
Man, I just want to give a shout out to Adrian Carroll. I think he had a great turnout today. A lot of good bands, a very, very receptive audience. I was very proud of it, and I want to see. That's the name of the competition. For all you guys that don't know, the Adrian Carroll Battle of the Bands. This is his 11th year doing it. He's not even a band guy, but he's been dedicated to Durham, North Carolina for 11 years now, and I hope to see him continue to thrive with this particular program. It's a great thing.
That's outstanding, man. Well, we appreciate your call tonight. We appreciate always hearing the Prune Juice man himself. We will be hearing more analysis throughout the year on the 90 Degree Show, but definitely also appreciate your analysis on Central and Elizabeth City. You know, we really appreciate that, and we'll be looking forward to hearing from you next week, man.
Okay, sounds good, man. I'll be there.
All right, man. Have a good time out there.
Okay.
718-664-6025 is the 90 Degree Show, brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. Always glad to hear from Rashad. Like I say, I know he said that he was going to the venue tonight, and we wanted to kind of coordinate when he was going to call in. Glad he was able to call in and still, but definitely we'll have the format with the 90 Degree Show where, you know, sometimes he'll have his own segment there with the Prunalysis, and we'll have it there after my segment here when I get all the analysis from the featured matchups throughout the week. Again, you can call in 718-664-6025. We're talking week 4. We were talking about, before Rashad came in, we were talking about Livingstone, I believe, and Edward Waters. Livingstone, I would think I was getting all crunk about the Dr. Dre style. I'm so glad, you know, it had, you know, song that they were playing, you know, it had the Dre beats in there, the tubas and the trombones, or the truth. You know, they had a lot of energy in the stands, a lot of swag appeal, good arrangements, good directors. So, you know, Livingstone is a thumbs up again this year. They played Edward Waters. The actual battle didn't happen. The bands didn't face against each other, except I would love to see these two play. The tape that I saw of Edward Waters this year was very similar to last year, except it's still early, and the camera was not the greatest camera in the world. I also don't like when, like, you get the camera like to the side angle or even somewhat at a catty corner angle and on the same side of the stands. I always like to see the tape from the other side of the field, or at least from the middle of the field, you know, or at least from the ground where you can see the whole band. That's what I love to see. Regardless of the fact, I saw Edward Waters, and I think that they still have a good sound, very similar to last year, the small band, but they have a really big sound. And the video doesn't do the justice, but I could tell what the sound was doing to the cell phone speaker or to whatever device this guy was using to tape. But it was a very, very similar to sound of last year. And the video, because he was on the other side of the field, did more for Alcorn. You know, they played Alcorn this year, which is a battle I'm sure kind of slept on. I wish I was kind of there to kind of check it out. But one thing that I kind of also I'm going to introduce tonight, and that's the concept of play calling. But Edward Waters, you know, they understand their sound and they play well together. You know, that's one thing that I talked about last year between the SWAC and the MEAC, and we're talking about that SWAC smash, just that sound, that power and that volume that's always coming at you. But because some of those MEAC bands are smaller and they don't have that, they have to play more control, like Rashad was talking about, you know, under control together. But some of these bands are putting that quality together, and that's something that you like to see, because a good blend of the two is like a really good band. You know, we talk about Bethune-Cookman. They have a really good mix of the two, even though they have a lot more personnel to produce that sound, which is one of the knocks on them. You really want to find someone with like the MEAC style heart, but the SWAC sound, the SWAC swagger. So Edward Waters they provide somewhat close to that. You can tell that, that they are a band to be working with, but I think that they have a lot of good energy in the stands, and they're not anything to anyone to sleep on. I'm just not really sure about the play calling. Now, as far as, I want to get into that, I want to say that I give the edge to Livingstone in this matchup, and it's based on the tape that I saw where the swag and the arrangements makes Livingstone dangerous, and it gives them the slight edge again. Edward Waters is the same type of band, just like Livingstone to me, but I saw more energy in the stands against Johnson C. Smith than Edward Waters had against Alcorn. Alcorn was coming with it. They were coming with the fire. And I did not think that Edward Waters responded in the correct manner. Like, I don't think that they responded with enough anger. And that told me something about the band and a little something about the directors. They knew that they sounded loud and powerful. They knew that they were, setting the mark for small bands, and they were showing up against Alcorn, but not as much energy when playing back. And I didn't like the play calling. So the play calling here in the bands is what you play back at a band. You're in the fifth quarter or you're in the stands during the game. A band plays, Papa's got a brand new bag at you. But, boom. What do you play back? If you play something back that's perfect, that's your play calling. That's the perfect play action pass, and everybody's coming up, you throw it over their head, or whatever analogy you want to throw into it. But I think play calling comes into your band, and it comes into, the fifth quarter and, where you're going with things. So I didn't like Edward Waters' play calling. So in this particular instance I'm talking about, and why I'm saying maybe Livingstone may take them out per se, was Alcorn played the Chris Brown song. That was Fine China. I think like Rashad said, everybody and their mama's playing that this year. And it was really, really good, where they play the song and then there's like a fake ending at the end. I'm all stopped up, but there's a fake ending in the ending, and Alcorn stops, and then you think it's over, and then they bow, and then they come back in, and they come back in even more louder, which is super crunk. I really, really like it. Edward Waters responded with Kendrick Lamar and, Girl Don't Kill My Vibe or whatever. Now, if you guys think about that, whoa, 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 that upbeat, crunk kind of funk, kind of like upbeat, like, hey, and they bumping that Fine China, and they had the false ending, and then Edward Waters responded with the do, like, and it wasn't the funk, like, they didn't have enough of the fierce, like, bass to make it like sound where it's just like, whoa, it was very slow, very sluggish, and it changed the mood of things. I thought that said a lot about Edward Waters, and I'm sure that they can correct it. Like Rashad said, A&T corrected some things because it's early, but just from what I saw, I think Livingstone would be much more hype in the stands coming at them, especially if, Alcorn is throwing that at you, and you're not more angry and you're not more ferocious about attacking. And then the play calling, of course. So I think that, Livingstone would get the edge to that. So still love to see this matchup. I would love to see Albany State and Elizabeth City play against each other because, again, like they say, that's why they play the game, or that's why they have these matchups, because we can do the analysis all we want, but until we see it, we always have to just ponder and see. So that's just my 2 cents of what I think that would happen per se. Like I said, I gave the edge to Livingstone just based on the tape, and The only other matchup, or the only other band that I wanted to talk about tonight was Talladega College. That was kind of like the end, the throw-on end. We're going to go ahead and hear from our sponsors, our last sponsors call before we sign off for the night, and we'll talk about Talladega College. They flapped a little waves a little bit on the internet because they're a smaller college, and people were talking about them last year, and a couple of people on the fifth quarter mentioned them. So we'll go ahead and take this break and hear from our sponsors for the last break. We'll talk about Talladega College before we sign off for the night.
Chopping It Up with the Marching Podcast is a podcast of one-on-one interviews with positive role models that have a connection through music and or education. We also give the listener an opportunity to call in and talk with our guests. We chop it up to give insight, information, inspiration, and advice in their endeavors. Chop it up with us every second Tuesday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. Chopping It Up, changing the world through positive interaction.
Okay, we're back and we're ready to talk about Talladega College. Again, we want to thank our sponsors and definitely excited about the Chopping It Up show. You know, that's actually, I love the 90 Degree show, and that's like the flagship show, but the Chopping It Up show is produced more hits on the Marching Podcast Network. You know, human interest show, or, you know, family and friends, definitely checking out what people are doing and how they've been doing in the world. So it's a great show. I love Chopping It Up. It's really great to catch up with people that I haven't heard from in a long time, and then people that I'm meeting now through the Marching Podcast Network. It's great to catch up with them, and I always say, you know, we'll talk, you know, a good, you know, try to get 15 minutes in, but, you know, it always goes over, which is always a good thing. So we'll always chop it up on Tuesdays, and we'll also be hearing from more shows from the Marching Podcast Network. So the last band I wanted to talk about tonight was Talladega College. I'm not sure who they played this past week. I haven't even looked at their schedule, but I wanted to talk about them separately because I think that they're exciting. I saw them for the first time last year, and immediately I thought of a mini Southern, you know, or someone from the S is the director there. But I loved it, you know, and I was amazed. Still heard some inaccuracies, maybe some small band holes, and some lack of confidence here or there, some of the chords. But I liked them in 2012, and they made our sleeper list. So they do not have, or I'm sorry, they have that smash sound. You know, that smash, like, wah, and it's like, whoa, you waking up, you know, and it's just as loud. And not sure of the clarity, though, you know, and I think, you know, and it's an overall good sound, but it's the philosophy at the same time, you know. Southern, you know, you can talk about the different things about the musicalities or whatnot, but like I say, it's the philosophy. You know, if we have another sports analogy here, it's, you know, either it's running the ball or either you pass the ball a lot, you know. It's the philosophy that you have. They play Love and War, which is, you know, again, a good standard, a good metric to hear for people this year. And it was perfect because it reminded me of SU. You know, I'm not sure if they have the same arrangement, but it sounded a little different, maybe a little bit more easier than the one at Southern University. You know, just one thing I've noticed about Southern, they're trying to apply a little bit more runs and some musicality, but definitely more dramatic. Talladega College had more of the dramatic in the beginning of the song, where it was really, really slow and, you know, it was really, really quiet. You know, they really tried to go for, hey, you know, we love this song. We love playing this song. We're really into it. You know, the upper brass is non-existent. Again, that's the system. But in some parts, you really, you know, it's what you can do with the personnel that you have. You know, the power and the volume is there. It's SWAC certified, like I say, and they have that swagger to take on anybody in the country. But, you know, Southern, you know, with their upper brass, they're able to pull it off. You know, and it's just how it is. Their guys are in the stratosphere, and they're able to hold it, and they're able to get enough support to make a representation of trumpets. So, you know, you hear those Southern horns, but you still hear the Southern trumpets. not so much the same case here, but in some places, Talladega College, they represent and they do well. But again, like I say it over and over again, it's the philosophy. I'm sure that they're going to make our sleeper battles, and pretty soon they're not going to be a sleeper because everybody knows about them. And they're going to make some instant battle classics in 2013. You know, we're going to be officially listening and looking out for Talladega College videos in the years to come. So people out there listening, please keep those Talladega College videos coming in, because I like seeing the power from the smaller bands. I haven't seen them on the field in 2013, and I'm not sure if I saw them on the field last year, but I would like to see them to see, you know, how well and how, you know, how good of a band that they really are. They've sparked the debate, you know, like I said, they've made some waves, but on our beloved fifth quarter, you know, I go on there to keep my ear to the street. There's a guy with the handle of Marine Trumpet Player and calls them the new Morris Brown. He posted he was like, hey, are they the new Morris Brown? You know, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, some people responded. And then another guy by the handle of Crank posted that they are the truth. You know what I mean? He posted, I think, you know, he said they are the truth, and then he put the link for, I think, The Feds Is Watching. A lot of people are playing that song this year, too. And then, you know, even, you know, looking at the thread, people are responding, talking about, oh, you think that looks good, thinks that sounds good, and, you know, oh, it's the lack of the musicality and this and that, and, you know, I'm able, and, you know, I'll just say, you know, my 2 cents, you know, I just appreciate that they're able to produce that band with that program and that power, you know, and it shows that some of our great young minds are getting jobs in your other untraditional places. You know, we touched on this last week and a couple weeks ago, but some of your young, intelligent minds are getting jobs all over the country, and we're seeing the fruits of our peers, so to speak, you know, start to blossom. You know, Talladega College reminds me of this year and last year is Miles College. Now, I'll save the analysis for Miles for a later show because, you know, I'm sure they're going to have the featured matchup with Miles and Albany State, which is my favorite battle last year. But that power is something to be dealt with. I'm going to pause it right there because it looks like we got a caller from the 901 area code. Caller, go ahead and give us your name, where you're calling from tonight.
Hey, man, it's Marine Trumpet Player.
Hey, Marine, what's going on, man? I appreciate you. Okay, nice to meet you, man. Yeah, man, yeah. I'm just in the middle of talking about Talladega College, man.
Yeah, I was listening to you for a little bit, but I got to say, man, everybody's out here, you know, I would say that they kind of hating on Talladega right now, but, man, these guys got a point to prove, man. They the new kids on the block, and like you said earlier, you know, they do have, somebody had pointed out to me that they have like a southern type of sound to them. The reason why I said they're the new Morris Brown because they're basically untouchable. You know, You know how Morris Brown was back in the day. They can't. No one could step up to them. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't around. I was in sixth grade around that time when Morris Brown was really on and popping. I was still in the band or whatever, but to me, I haven't seen anybody basically touch Morris Brown like that. And that's how I feel about Talladega College. That's why I said, could they be the new Morris Brown? Because they're untouchable. They are going to be untouchable. That's just me.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, like I'm really excited to see them. And like I said, it's showing that, you know, some people are getting some jobs some places, but no matter what people say or, you know, you can critique about it, they're providing an exciting sound. You know what I mean? They're coming with it. And anybody at a football game, I mean, let's be honest, if, you know, they not at a football game with their friends and having a good time, and when a band like that opens up for real, it's a good feeling. Like, you know what I'm saying? It changes the whole atmosphere of the game. And it's really what a lot about, you know, that soul and, you know, that black college atmosphere is all about. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And the thing is, man, according to Wikipedia, they're supposed to be getting a football team next year.
Oh, okay. So I guess they haven't had too many halftime show, I guess.
No, like from what I've been seeing on YouTube, they're strictly they went to the Southern Heritage Classic Battle of the Bands last week.
Okay.
There's videos all over YouTube with them there. It was they were there with Jackson State and TSU and all the high school bands in Memphis. They were there. And from some words that I'm getting from my friends back home in Memphis is that a lot of the kids that just recently graduated are going there. So, you're getting a lot of that Memphis sound there from schools like Fairleigh, Whitehaven. If anybody out there listening that's know about Memphis high schools, you got the Fairleighs and the Whitehavens there and some of the Hillcrest. But like I said, they're going to be a force to reckon with, man. Here, I give them a year. I say give them a year. They're going to be a force to reckon with. I'll just say that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well,
that's why I posted what I said, man. That's why I posted, are they the new Morris Brown?
Well, it was a great post, man. I definitely agree. Now, you say you're from Memphis. Where did you go to school?
I'm from Memphis. I graduated from Raleigh High. If anybody out there is listening that's from Memphis, remember the Corey Middle School back in the 02 to 04 days when we waxed Jeter Middle and Maceo first came around? Yeah, that was me that year. I marched at Raleigh, Egypt. And so I've been out of the game for a little bit since I joined the Marines, was stationed out in California. Now I live in Atlanta, so I'm just trying to get back into the game. So we're gonna see how this turns out, man.
Well, hey man, I really appreciate the call. Like I said, I got you on the fifth quarter now, so I'll definitely be hitting you up and sending you messages and getting all your information and stuff. So I appreciate the call, man.
Anytime, man. I like the show too, by the way. I've been listening to it the whole time, so I like it, man.
Oh, that's what's up. I appreciate it, man. 718-664-6025. It's a 90-degree show brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. Really glad that he was able to call in. I'm getting these responses. Like I said, got my ear to the street with the fifth quarter, and always making sure, like, when someone has a good post like that, I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and, shout you out. So it's good that he was able to call in and then add some more flavor to the Talladega College discussion because, yeah, man, it's good to see something like that, And one thing I was just about to go into right before you called, but that power, I mean, it's no joke. Like, you see that power and it's coming across from you, and it's like a little band. It's like, whoa, like, hey, like maybe we need to step it up around here, especially if you're a bigger band. You definitely want to make sure that you're returning that power or that you're returning something just as loud so that, they don't get too much confidence over there, And I wonder if that's what was happening with Edward Waters and Alcorn, but I digress. I wanted to say just because Talladega College reminds me of Miles. Miles College is doing the same thing. I liked Miles last year, and one thing that reminded me of Miles was, I think, my crab year in '97, and I believe it was some type of battle of the bands we went to. And I can't remember where, and I can't remember all the specifics, but we went somewhere, and I'm talking about Jackson State. We went to a battle of the bands, and it was like a metal type of stage that we marched on. And I remember we got up on the stage, and we marched on this metal stage, and we did our thing, and then we marched off, and then Miles was there, and then they started playing neck, like on us, challenging us while we were marching away. And of course, we wanted to stop right there, and it was raining too, I remember. So like we had to be careful on that marching on that metal stage and like where we were. But I just remember Miles was there, and they were challenging us, and it was like, okay, we'll go ahead and embarrass you right quick with something. But that Miles in 2013 was not that Miles in '97. You know what I mean? So it's good for them to see an advancement in their program. You have to give them props for that. We have a caller from the 240 area code. Caller, what's your name, and tell us where you're calling from tonight?
Hi, this is Tyrone from 8 to 5 Entertainment.
Hey, Tyrone, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. I'm good. How you been, man?
Doing pretty good. You called in right here on the last little end of the show. I want to go ahead, since I got you on, man. I want to go ahead and I'm going to put you on hold, and we're going to play this last sponsorship commercial, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you have the floor, man. So listeners, we'll go ahead and hear from our last sponsor here, and then we'll wrap it up with Tyrone, and then we'll close the show for the end of the night.
Do you know where to find scholarship information and other financial resources that are available to HBCU students? Are you up to date on the latest information in the HBCU world? If you answer no to any of these questions, then HBCU News with the Reeds is the place for you. We provide information to spark interest, success stories of graduates, and the latest on issues that you care about. So check out HBCU News with the Reeds, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com/marching podcast. Check out our website and point your browser toward hbcunews.net and join in on the calls and discussion today.
All right, we're back, and we'll bring Tyrone back in here so we can talk to him before we end the show. Just want to say that our show is brought to you tonight, and we'll go ahead and give us the sponsors. We'll let you have those sponsors. Our show tonight was brought to you by Liquid Effects Photography, Block Band Music, Bandhead.org, Big Deal Fundraising, and HBCUnews.net. What's going on tonight, Tyrone, man?
Ain't nothing much. I'm out here checking out the show, listening to the topics and everybody's review on everything, and you definitely struck a chord with the Talladega College, man. And after watching them last year and seeing that they're being consistent with their sound this year, man, I'm just amazed that that they're putting out that much sound. And just like you said, the reference to Southern, when I heard them last year, from the first through the second and third video clip I've seen of them, I'm just like, wow, how are they doing that? And you're just fresh out on the scene, man. And, the other caller that just called in about referring to them as being the new Morris Brown, I can kind of see that, but also I feel as that they're their own band. You can't really compare them to anybody yet until, they actually come out on the stage. You see the full package, both in the stands and on the field, seeing them battle against another band head-to-head. Once you be able to gauge them off of that, you can get a feel for who they are. Seeing them in a parade with Southern a few miles down the road, okay, that's kind of head-to-head, but not really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. You make a really, really good point, and it's something that I thought about, Edward Waters. Like, I thought, like they sounded okay. And, the video that I saw, it didn't give them justice, but it's the way they were responding to Alcorn. And I think that sound Alcorn was putting up maybe surprised them a little bit, and like you said, that head-to-head, it tests your gut a little bit. So like what, and I didn't know that they didn't have a football team. It makes a lot of sense now, but they haven't, I guess, and I'm just assuming they haven't necessarily been across the field against a South Carolina State or, another band, like you said, to really, to gauge, where they're coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, man, that's a really good point, man. Did you check out any of the bands this week, or have you seen Albany State, Elizabeth City, or Livingstone, or have you seen any of those bands this year?
I haven't seen any of them this year. I've seen a lot of clips from them from last year, and I'm interested in seeing them this year. They kind of gauge if they're consistent with what they portrayed last year.
Right.
The only one
definitely.
I've seen was Benedict.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And as far as Benedict, they've improved. They're still making improvements, and I'm happy to see bands, smaller bands that, like you said, if they're able to put out that sound, powerful sound, really powerful sound, that's something I'm very interested in seeing. So, as far as 8 to 5 goes, if there's any band programs that would like us to come out and showcase them, just hit us up at marching8to5.com, and we'll try to get out there to you guys.
Yeah, that's outstanding, man. That's actually really good. We definitely need to start plugging that, and we'll definitely start letting these directors know that you're offering that service. I mean, that's a really good idea. But definitely, man, we definitely are gonna start looking for those things, and definitely, like you said, marching8to5.com. You guys go to marching8to5.com and check out all the things that Tyrone and the 8 to 5 guys are doing. I know you guys will be on the show, and also we'll be posting the videos, you guys, from your website, so you guys can see some things. You guys, we got a little bit of a 90-degree show commercial out there, but we're working with that to improve that a little bit. But, man, I really appreciate your call tonight, man, and I know I'll be hearing from you more. Definitely, we got South Carolina State coming on more. So I know that South Carolina State fam game is going to be, is that the Palmetto Classic?
Oh, no, they just had the Palmetto Classic with South Carolina State and Benedict.
Oh, Benedict, okay.
That's actually South Carolina State's homecoming this year.
Oh, really?
Which was going to be really good.
Yeah, that's going to be the bomb.
November the 9th. That's what it is.
Okay, well, I'm sure we'll be definitely talking about that. And I know for, South Carolina State homecoming, you and the guys got to be on. So if you can't make it, we'll make sure that, we try to have you guys on. I appreciate you having on the show tonight, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Always good to hear from the 8 to 5 guys, and made a really good point about Talladega College. We got to gut check them, and that's really, really cool. So if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show, and we'll give you the criteria so that we can start pubbing your business and using our platform. We will play your commercial, we'll post your website on our blog, and we'll help send out your information through social media. So contact us so we can help build your business. And we'll go ahead, and we're at the end of the show tonight. I'll just go ahead. Like I said, we had the matchup with we had Albany State and we had Elizabeth City. I gave the edge to Albany State. We had the matchup Livingstone and we had Edward Waters. I gave the edge to Livingstone. And, it's just really good bands. Still, it wasn't a blowout in either capacity, but still great to see these bands on a come-up. 10 years ago, let's say 20 years ago, or around the time, let's say if I was doing this podcast and I was in college, we wouldn't be talking about Edward Waters and Livingstone. And I don't remember how Albany State was back in the 90s, but Elizabeth City either. We would not be talking about them. So it's glad to see these bands on a come-up. Thanks to Tyrone and the other brother, Marine, trumpet player. Thanks to calling for him. We really appreciate those calls. Thanks to Rashad for calling in and giving us the Prunalysis. We really appreciate, you being out there in public talking on the phone like you were probably like your Tyrone Koppel out there. So it was great that you were there. And thanks again for giving us the analysis. Comes to the end of our show tonight. We want to thank all of our people. Check out the website and donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. See you next time.